Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. Today is Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo, May the 5th, and we get together every morning to share news and headlines about things going on in the world, near and far. We get together to connect every morning to see how we are doing here in Puerto Vallarta, to exchange tips, knowledge, resources, ideas, to stay creative, to stay healthy, to stay inspired, and to stay nurtured. If this is the first time you're here with us, my name is Paco, and you're welcome to leave comments, suggestions. If this is the first time you're here, please write the word new in your comments so that we can welcome you accordingly. And if you're catching this broadcast in the afternoon, please feel free to leave comments as well. We always take a look at those, and we're always happy to answer any questions that you may have during the day. It's always great to see regular followers. I'm always grateful to see you back every morning. I'm often wondering how you start your days, what keeps you busy during the daytime. Today, I started my day like every other day, taking a look at the news, fixing some coffee. I ran a load of laundry because it is that time of the week for me to do that. So, good morning, everybody. Mimi, Chris, Ellen, Christy, Bob, Sue, Gail, Kathleen, Margaret, Elaine, my sister in crime, Paul from Washington, D.C. It's about time you come back, Paul. I miss you terribly, I dare say, in front of all these people. And Elaine, of course, I haven't seen you in forever. I haven't seen my friends. Have you seen your friends? I've been so good about this pandemic. I've been staying at home most of the time, and I get itchy. I get itchy. I really want to see my friends. I want to hug them. I want to come up with excursions to the supermarket and let them know, I'm going to be at Costco today just in case you want to see me. I want to see you. I miss everybody. But while we cannot hang out with our friends, this is an incredible source of comfort to be able to connect with you every morning. So, with that said, let's start with a few headlines because that's what we do. For starters, again, I've been keeping track of the nice I did it, you did it, who done it business going on north of the border between people that are blaming a certain lab for creating the coronavirus and the people that dismiss this conspiracy theory. So there's yet another headline about this. This time it's an interview with Anthony Fauci, so this should be an interesting read for everybody. Um, of course, things are uncomfortable north of the border because while President Trump is estimating certain figures and certain information and sharing that information with the public, his own administration is at the same time saying that things are going to get uglier for our fellow um, country north of the border. I follow these news. I try not to have an opinion about this, but I think it's interesting how when the going gets tough, all kinds of challenges arise in any country. Mexico is not exempt from this. The pandemic has revealed all kinds of shortages that our country has in terms of culture, education, class discrimination, et cetera, et cetera. So, again, this is a great learning opportunity for all of us as both as human beings, but also as nations to see what is going to happen. Um, Meanwhile, other people seem to be doing other kinds of things to get involved. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has just pledged 125 million for COVID-19 vaccine therapy. How many condos could we buy with 125 million? That's a different story. But it is nice to see that certain people that have been aware of this threat to our well-being are putting things into motion to find a cure or find some kind of a solution. Um, a quote from Melinda Gates: "In order to beat COVID 19, the world needs more than great science. It needs great humanity, the commitment to help people beat this virus, no matter where they live." So I will leave you the link to this. It's a great read. And it's nice to know that development is taking place. Um, Again, not to burst in our in our bubble, but coronavirus pandemic could last up to 2 years, according to U.S. experts. Yet more information that business as usual is not going to come back quickly, and it may not come back at all. What we call business as usual, or what we refer to as normal. We are all learning about this as we go, and I have a couple of other headlines moving on that will have more to do with this. But first, this comes from Mexico. Heineken Mexico, which is a manufacturer of many of the popular beers we drink, has just launched a program in which they're hoping to support 10,000 restaurant and bar owners throughout the country, along with over 50,000 waiters that have been affected by the pandemic. Apparently, they're going to launch this kind of a program in which, if you go to a restaurant and you order beer, they will donate money to match tips and all kinds of things. Needless to say, this is not a selfless act, I imagine, because beer manufacturers have been on hold for pretty much a month. They have not been able to produce and manufacture beer. So, needless to say, um, since this started on April the 6th, it's been a month as of tomorrow, and beer manufacturers must be itching to get back into work so that they can be productive. So, if this is a win win, we're going to be keeping tracks of it. We're going to find a way to support it and let local restaurants know about this. Hopefully, this will actually help in all over the country, not just in the big cities. Um, Paul Christ, our dear friend Paul, showed us this article yesterday. Well, he showed it to Facebook, and I took it from there. Is this the end of Airbnb? Hosts are calling the Airbnb apocalypse, but it's more akin to an enema, says Wired magazine. This is actually coming from Wired in the United Kingdom. Um, so it'll be interesting to read this. I've just glanced at it, but it's a really insightful article as to how Airbnb works, how it has developed, how in the process of growing as an empire, it has become a hotel chain, and we don't see it as such. It also discusses some of the the strained relationships that go on between Airbnb and property owners, and needless to say, the strained relationship between Airbnb and the hotel industry. And last but not least, everything that goes on when a guest uh, is in an Airbnb property, and when things go right and things don't go right. In any event, it's not rosy for Airbnb. I can imagine that this must be something that is very thought provoking for the huge number of people that have invested in Airbnb as a way to raise some income. I have a couple of friends that have a couple of properties on Airbnb, and they're struggling, as everybody else is. But it'll be a great reading, a great thing to read. Yesterday, we talked about Star Wars Day because it was May the 4th. And, the pun is May the 4th be with you. So it occurred to me that maybe you're not into the Star Wars movies, but you'd like to be. So CNET has produced this great article that has to do with how to get into the whole Star Wars universe. If you ask me, the first movie was spectacular, and then they get progressively wonky. But I'll let you be the judge of that. We can take a look at this in our leisure time. And since I have inadvertently jumped into our leisure headlines, let me come back over here and take a look at some of your reactions. I always love reading you the most. Um, Best way to start my day, as it is 2 hours earlier here. Oh, that's right, Christy. It's very early where you are. More good mornings. Paul, we miss you. Abrazos is what I miss the most. I don't know if you were here the day that I talked about what happened to Miguel. I ran into some friends, and without thinking, we hugged. This was not even 2 weeks ago. And as we were hugging, we had that instant, oh my God, what have we done? We're hugging. But we kept hugging because it felt good. I haven't hugged that many people. Um, Good morning, Sean. Good morning, Craig, Darlene. Paul says, I have literally no spoken face to face with anyone, not a single human, in over a month. Even at the grocery store, I go, they have a self checkout and don't even have a person to speak to. Oh dear. Well, it's what we do. I haven't spoken to that many people. I haven't met any new people. I have a couple of friends that are being adventurous on the hooking up apps, and they're actually meeting other people. I think everybody is entitled to making decisions as to what their own risk level is going to be. But I was quite comforted when I went to Costco the other day to see that Costco has taken a stand on this issue. Check this out. Costco recommends coffee. Costco recommends that you don't grinder at this time. So I was quite happy to see this. No, don't worry, I am not grinding. Um, and that's just a bad joke. It was supposed to be funny. Never mind. Where is my epic fail sound? Here it is. Anyhow, Kelly Casey says hello. Colleen says hello. Marge says hello. You guys must be spreading the word because there are 50 people watching live. What's going on? Elaine wants to move to Manhattan. Renee is watching today. It's great to see you. Thank you for the headlines. Thank you for reading us, Jamie. Two beers, please. Yes, it's becoming a little warm nowadays. Um, Stinkos about Airbnb. This is going to get interesting when we bring in a real estate person to have a conversation with us. Elizabeth, thank you so much for everything that you say. And thank you guys for laughing with me. I always think that my jokes are going to be stupid, but that's just me. And speaking of stupid jokes, today is May the 5th. In case you have your dates misplaced, May the 5th or Cinco de Mayo is a festive date in the United States, not in Mexico, not so much in Mexico. We celebrate May the 5th because back on May the 5th, 1862, in the city of Puebla, we, as in the Mexican army, won a battle against the French army. So the United States had nothing to do with this. It is just a battle that was won. It is an important battle, but it's not important enough that it merits for us to have an actual holiday here in Mexico. It's not a day in which banks and official offices shut down or anything. Um, what else can I tell you about May the 5th? May the 5th is not our Independence Day, that is September 16. But it has become a date in which a lot of people in the United States seem to, especially the Mexican American community, seem to relate to as a day to celebrate that identity. It is also a very popular day for Hellman's mayonnaise for obvious reasons. And I think Taco Bell must be doing a lot of promotion for May the 5th just to keep you happy and not to sound like a Grinch about Cinco de Mayo. I'm going to do this. Boom. Yay. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. Okay? Yay. Okay, enough of that. Anyhow, let's go back to, yeah, May the 5th is a day to drink beer. Absolutely. Well, I think every day is a day to drink beer, if you ask me. Anyhow, let us go back to looking at some of these headlines. We had started with Darth Vader and all these wonderful things. Oh, as an aside, if you happen to be a fan of Star Wars or the music composed by the wonderful John Williams, there is a new album coming out with John Williams conducting his music with the Vienna Philharmonic that is going to make me pee in my pants because I love his music. And that's all I have to say about that. Let's go back to this. Let's see. We have done this. Yes, we have. Then we also have, oh, this was not very encouraging. I read this on Wired Magazine. A trip to the movies may soon feel like going to the airport. And this article talks about what it may be like to go back to the movies where they may check your temperature, they may ask you questions: where have you been, who have you spoken with, what kind of symptoms do you have. And um, and no, yours truly will not be going to the movie theater anytime soon, but this makes me wonder again about how we're going to behave in terms of starting to go out and do what we used to do: go shopping for clothes, go eating at restaurants, going to the movies. Um, we're all going to have to learn all these new habits and decide whether we can continue to adapt for them or we cannot. Um, then this is great news for those of us that are fans. Michelle Obama wrote a book called Becoming, and tomorrow Netflix starts offering this new documentary that follows Michelle Obama through her book tour as she's promoting the book, and it includes an intimate documentary looking at her life, hopes, and connection with others as she tours the book. And this is something that is going to be, well, if you like Michelle Obama, I happen to love the lady. I don't know much about her politics, but I think what I know of her is really amazing, and I will be watching this. I hope you are too. Meanwhile, um, Paul, I certainly hope you come back from Washington before August, because even if you stayed in Washington, you're not going to be able to watch Hamilton or anything. Kennedy Center has just announced that they're going to cancel all their performances through August, which is sad but makes sense. If Kennedy Center is canceling, this can only mean that all the other major theaters are probably following similar indications. Yesterday, we were talking about how Cameron McIntosh feels that theater is not going to come back until next year. So this is sad, but this is part of what we do now and what we know now. Um, Meanwhile, if you're starting to feel a little cabin feverish, hello, there's a nice article from Vox on how to have a fulfilling staycation when you're sick of your house. Are you sick of your house? I am sick of my house. I love my house, but I'm going to be reading this and looking for some pointers. How are you keeping yourselves from falling out of love with your own spaces? Um, I would love to know about this. I would love to hear your comment. Gail says that she just lost me. Did anybody lost me? Did anybody lose me? Rather, I hope you're all still here, um, and I hope we're still broadcasting. Um, because I paid for my phone bill this month. I really did. I really did. Anyhow, um, more headlines for you. I have this coming from an Indiana restaurant that offers what they call drag side pickup during coronavirus lockdown. So this is a gay-owned restaurant that is that has hired some female impersonators to bring your takeout orders to your car. Drag side pickup, they call it. Um, and customers think it's a fantastic idea. I watched the video. I thought about this. Well, this is a lot of fun. But then again, the summer months are coming to Puerto Vallarta. So I envisioned myself or any of my friends wearing high heels and makeup and a dress and a wig, all on top of Puerto Vallarta humidity, trying um, to deliver food to cars in Mexico's arguably gayest destination of the country. I won't be doing that job. But hey, maybe this is an idea for one of the local restaurants. There's a couple of restaurants that I know are very fond of the gay community here in Puerto Vallarta. And then there's a couple of restaurants that, let's just say, I would be amused to see if they ever went to a solution like this. But this is just me. Um, Another headline that I want you to know, of course, Mother's Day is coming up. It's coming up on this Sunday. In Mexico, it's always on the 10th. In the United States, it shifts according to the first or second Sunday of the month. I forget. Anyhow, there's going to be a lot of concerts, live concerts advertised here and there. And I will be bringing these to you as we get closer to the date. Let me take a quick look. Everybody's here. Everybody's here. This is great to hear. Catherine is rearranging all her furniture in her house. I am sweeping floors. I am going into crevices. I am relearning how to clean the house because, I've sent my cleaning lady home at the beginning of the pandemic. She hasn't been here forever. I miss her terribly. She's been the same cleaning lady I've had for the last 10 years. So she is as much a friend as she is my cleaning lady. In fact, she calls me every now and then just to make sure that I'm okay. But because she's not here, I'm having to clean. I'm having to learn how to do all this stuff. Um, Gail, I'm so glad that you're still with us. I'm sorry I'm cutting in and out. If I cut in and out, please know that it's not something that I do intentionally. And please know that if it should ever happen while we're watching live, I am recording a version of this on my computer every single day. So if we happen to get lost, it's no need to panic. All you have to do is wait for the internet to come back. I upload the episodes every day, and you can catch them later on. Um, Paul tells us that he is walking a lot. I am walking more and more. And when I walk, I listen to podcasts, which also makes me think. I've been thinking about how many of you listen to podcasts or not, whether you like them, whether you've discovered them. I find that there is a lot of learning to be done through just listening. And my friend Catherine, who is always here with us, she is a huge fan of radio. I'm a huge fan of radio, but more so of podcasts. So if you want to know about podcasts, if you want some recommended, just let me know, and we will spend some time talking about these. Bob is watching from Las Vegas till he can return. Bob, I hope you can return whenever it's right for you, and I hope that you are healthy and happy wherever you are. Kathleen has been painting. Good for you. Sue is rearranging shrubs. I am a plant killer, Sue, so I applaud your efforts. Um, Everybody's keeping busy. This is wonderful. Ellen, I could be envious of you because you're swimming in a pool. I will be so happy when I get a chance to get into a pool again. It's glad that you guys can connect through the broadcast and that you are being able to hear. Renee, this is a button that is I love to have pushed. That Renee is downsizing and giving things away that she doesn't need. This is a great idea, folks. I think the future is going to be one in which our lives will become simpler. They will become frugal. They will become more practical. And I have also been downsizing and giving things away. If you find things in your home that you don't need anymore, that you don't use anymore, consider giving them away or consider sharing them with your friends. Rita is a podcast listener. I would love to hear your recommendations, Rita. I get most of my tips from Paul because Paul Christ is a huge podcast fan. Um, Kathleen is interested in podcasts. Awesome. Um, Kelly is, oh, Kelly, how are things going with the bookstore? I keep reading that things have been challenging for you, Kelly. If you ever want to come on board, if you ever want to come live so that you can tell us about how things are going with your bookstore, please let me know. We'll arrange a Skype interview. I know that this has been a dream for you, and I know that this has been challenging from what you've been posting. So if there's any way in which the community can help you, please let me know because we want this space, these daily shows, to be a platform and a vehicle for all of us to be able to become better with our projects and with our expectations of the destination. Um, Rita Myers says Studio 360. I'm familiar with Studios 360, and it's a great podcast. Kelly, again, please send me a direct message if you have Skype. We'll do this, and I'm sure that people will want to hear your story. I know it is a great story. And speaking of great stories, I am working on a couple of other interviews. I'm having a couple of guests in the program by the end of the week. I'm not going to tell you who yet because we're working out the technical kinks. But again, I want this to be a place not one. I don't want this to be a place in which the only person that is doing the conversation is me. You all have fascinating stories. You have fascinating projects. If anybody has something that you want to share that is inspiring and productive and will help us move forward through this new normal that we're all getting adjusted to, please let me know. Please let me know. And that wraps up today. I hope that today, Tuesday, you'll have a good day. I'm going to celebrate my Cinco de Mayo. I still have that horrible guacamole flavored mayonnaise in my refrigerator, and I will continue to eat it until I run out, and then I'll get a better flavor. In the meantime, I hope you have a good day. I hope you stay healthy, sane, happy, inspired, and I will see you again tomorrow. Have a good one.